The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of KSMQ Public Service Media Incorporated or its assigns.
Hi, I'm Dan Hoffman. Welcome to Farm Connections. We recently spent a day at the second annual Ag Summit, sponsored by the Heimer Foundation and Riverine Community College. Today we'll be bringing you the highlights of that program in conversations about technology training and the exciting future of agriculture. Stay with us. Farm Connections is next.
Welcome to Farm Connections with your host, Dan Hoffman.
Brought to you in part by Absolute Energy, a locally owned facility producing 115 million gallons of ethanol every year, proudly supporting local economies in Iowa and Minnesota. Absolute Energy, adding value to the neighborhood.
Dr. Adenuga Atewologun, president of Riverine Community College, is leading the charge on this integration of technology, agriculture, and education. He has an ambitious vision. Let's hear more about it. Thank you so much for joining us on Farm Connections.
My pleasure.
This must be exciting as you see people come together to help you move forward with a very important vision. Can you tell us what your thoughts and vision are?
Oh yes, this is exciting. In the area, there is a demand to address the needs of agriculture and agribusiness and the sciences of it. You know, the technology that's coming up and being used in agriculture now, robotics, sensors, and a whole lot of things. So when I got here, I saw that that need was articulated very well, and it was part of our strategic planning. Agriculture was identified as one of 4 major fields and industries that the community wanted us to focus on. So we had a visioning session to try to create, and I am really excited that we will create a center, a global center in southeast Minnesota to advance agriculture and food science technology.
You said global. Did I hear that right?
Yes, it is global. You understand that the needs in the world, on the world scene for food and nutrition will continue to grow. In fact, by year 2050, the need would have doubled because of the growth in the world. Now, we in the US, we are so endowed with especially in the Midwest, with very good agricultural soil and the best of technology in the world. So why wouldn't we create a global center here in Austin, right here in southeast Minnesota?
How will you use the existing programs to move your vision forward?
We have programs that have some relationships to what we're doing. We have 5 new programs or so that we will be starting. But currently we have a strong liberal arts and science program. We've got a strong diesel technology program. We have a very, very robust IMMR, we call it the machining and industrial machining program. Now those programs form some basis for the technical and power systems part of agricultural training and education. And then the science part will transition straight into our food science and biotechnology new programs that will be starting.
How will you use today's Ag Summit and the response you get from it going forward?
Yes, today's summit is, of course, the second annual summit that we're having. The first summit, we gathered some information and we used that to decide what new programs we would start. So now today, this summit would help us determine how can we sustain what the programming is going to look like, and how can we form more and stronger partnerships with those that we already have or the new ones that we're going to make.
The stakes are high. I wish you well.
Thank you very much.
Technology is changing at a rapid pace. Adam Heimer from John Deere presented information on some of the new tools available to producers. Adam Heimer, welcome to Farm Connections.
Good to be here.
Well, this is part of the Ag Summit at the historic Heimer home in Austin, Minnesota, and you've been invited to talk about technology to the group, and you gave a great presentation. Why is technology important to agriculture?
I think technology is going to allow us to advance in agriculture because it'll allow customers to do all their production practices faster, more efficiently, and make better use of inputs with the use of technology, using the inputs more wisely where they should be, and maybe reducing inputs where they're not needed.
And how is your company using technology?
I've been using technology for the past 10 to 15 years to gather data, yield data, drive straighter in the field, reducing overlap with some of our products, auto track, swath control, reducing inputs, less wastage. I'm also doing prescriptions as far as putting the right products in the right locations of the field. So we've been using it for 15 years, and I guess the sky's the limit. There's probably products that we haven't even thought of yet that we'll come up with in the next 10 to 15 years. So.
Well, I hope you bring some new ideas.
And we will.
Well, you talked about reducing inputs by using the technology. Let's use a planting operation and your technology and your operation center. How would that help us cut down on seed use, chemical use, fertilizer use, and fuel?
One of the products we have is Swath Control Pro is what we call it. We can reduce overlap of seed at the end of the headland, placing that seed within inches of where it should be. Basically there we're reducing seed inputs because we're not overlapping where the planter shouldn't be planting, and also we're increasing yields because when we overlap with corn, we basically reduce yields by probably 50 to 75%. So when we don't overlap, we get more yield there. Same thing goes with a chemical and a sprayer. There's no need to overlap or spray chemical where it doesn't need to be. So reducing chemical usage, reducing costs, reducing the effect on the environment. Other things as far as prescription goes and planters, putting more seeds where they should be and less where they don't need to be. Just take an example for irrigated corn, putting less corn in the corners of an irrigator. There's no need for that corn to be there, probably not going to produce it, and putting more where it should be, like on the center of an irrigator, for example.
Well, that makes it sound like agriculture is very exciting. Do you enjoy your job?
Very much so. When I first started 10 years ago, the first product that we were coming out with was AutoTrack, and it was kind of an eye-opener that we could drive a tractor straight without touching the wheel, and now that's commonplace. So it's fun to look at customers and see the excitement in their eyes when they can't believe you can do something such as drive the tractor without steering, or let the planter put seed where it needs to be all without touching anything, and letting all the computers do all the work. So very exciting.
Well, you mentioned AutoTrack, and that sounded like a luxury or an add-on at one point. Does it at some point then become a necessity or basically a benchmark standard?
I would completely agree. It's almost a necessity in order to run all these other applications. Like I said in my speech, there's a big crackdown on texting and driving. It's distracted driving, right? If I was going to try to be running all the monitors and everything in a tractor cab without having the tractor drive itself, there's no way I'd be able to do all those things at once. So it's taking the stress off the operator, it's getting the job done and letting you concentrate on some other things that are going on. So.
Well, as you mentioned data collection for 15 years and using this technology, I think about researchers who tell me that as we get repetition, our numbers are more accurate and we can believe in them. Is that true?
I would completely agree with that. 1 year's worth of data or one spot of data probably doesn't mean much because there's lots of different factors, weather, moisture, all that stuff goes into varieties, different soil types. So one spot of data really doesn't tell us a lot, but if we can gather data over time and we can see, patterns coming out of that data, that gives us a lot better confidence in the decisions we're making decisions for the future. So.
Well, we hear a lot about big data, and of course you've outlined the many, many positive things that can happen from that: profitability to the farm, less inputs, and good technology can help the product develop and be in a better marketplace in the future. How do you collect the data to be used to come back to your company to make the product better?
One way we use that is with machine data. We can see how machines are operating, what their peak efficiency is, just problems that may arise, we can cut those off at the pass before it affects anyone else. It's mostly in machine efficiency to see how people are using them so we can make a better product and a product they're happier with and fulfill some of those things that maybe we haven't thought of that customers would want as well.
How about labor or the people that are using technology? Where do you go to find employees?
That's probably the most challenging part. Community colleges, wherever we can find them. We have tech programs. We're constantly looking at good ag schools to find people. We'll find them from all walks of life, but primarily looking at good ag schools that provide students that have some knowledge of agriculture, but also have some knowledge of technology as well, to kind of put that together.
What do you think is going to happen in the future with farming and technology?
I think it's, technology is going to only continue to grow. I think that's the path we're headed down, and I think we see it already. A lot of people say we're making better decisions based off of this information. Remote sensing and auto track and swath control and making prescriptions. I just see that as the way of the future, and in order to feed 9 billion people by the year 2050, we're going to have to get more out of the same amount of land. So we're not going to do that just by status quo, I guess.
Thanks for sharing, Adam, and what an exciting future for you and your company and all of agriculture.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us. The Heimer Foundation has a vested interest in the success of agriculture. As a sponsor of this summit, Executive Director Gary Ray explains what it hopes to accomplish by bringing together producers, food processors, agribusiness professionals, and educators. Gary Ray, thanks for joining us on Farm Connections.
You bet.
This Ag Summit, it's really exciting, and why is Heimer Foundation backing it?
Well, we see a vision at the foundation, and we're in the heart basket of agriculture here in the Midwest, and what not a better place to have a summit like this at Riverland.
Well, as your role as Executive Director of the Heimer Foundation, you probably see a lot of opportunities to bring people together and make something good happen. Can you expand on that?
Yes, we do, and the foundation's all about the community, and we're trying to bring people together here in the community to look at something that could really advance the careers and the opportunities for our young people here, either through the high school and throughout further education here, right here in Austin at Riverland.
Well, what kind of partners are you reaching out to, Gary?
Well, we're reaching out to people like Cargill, John Deere, all the ag people that are related to the ag business, and we're asking them to help sponsor some of this as we move forward into the future.
Many people have come together and invested some time and energy in this summit. What do you hope happens afterwards, and what kind of takeaways?
Well, we learned so much from the first summit, and now here again today, we're having breakout sessions with the most important people that will make this thing happen. It's not the Heimer Foundation. We're going to support this project, but we want to hear from the people what can make this thing better. What are they looking for the future? And with all of that information that we're going to receive today, Riverland will digest that and visit with the foundation on how we should direct the programs for the future. What programs should we have in place? Do we need more programs on informational technology? Whatever it might be. And so that'll be the driving force after today of what are the people looking for in this community and the surrounding areas and the people that are in attendance here, because we have some very big players here today that are involved in agriculture and some people that are interested in agriculture. And so we feel that it's going to be a great resource for giving us direction for the future and how to invest our dollars for the future.
Wonderful. Thanks for your time, Gary.
You bet. Thank you.
Riverland Community College is making a major investment in agriculture by introducing several new agriculture programs. Let's find out more from Dr. Mary Davenport, Vice President of Academic and Student Affairs. Dr. Davenport, thanks for joining us on Farm Connections.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's an exciting time at Riverland and all of agriculture. What are your plans?
It is an exciting time, and we're so excited to be re-engaging with the agriculture community. We've had farm business management offerings, which a lot of farmers in the area use the services, but we haven't really offered anything in agribusiness or basic agricultural sciences, food science and technology, and biotech, and that's the direction we're going.
Well, with the Heimer Institute and food science people and food production in our area, certainly needed.
It's a good fit. There are a lot of jobs and there's a workforce shortage. So how do we get young people interested in going into agriculture? And a lot of the agriculture today has high technology. So young people are especially interested in the technology and staying on the family farm or getting engaged in that type of agriculture business.
When are you ready for the course offerings?
We're ready for this fall, 2015. We're starting. We have students already calling us and getting enrolled. We have the program, which is really built on the sound science courses that we already have at Riverland. And so really it's building off of that foundation and going into the different areas of agriculture. So the agronomy, for example, food science, fabrication, production. And the piece that is good about our program and what we're hoping for students to do on the entry side is to complete the 2-year degree. Some will be ready to go to work, but many will want to go on to complete their bachelor's degree. And so we have pathways for them to do that seamlessly, going to Minnesota State Mankato or Southwest Minnesota State University. On the workforce side, we know that we have a lot of people working in the industry today who just need a little more education. So we've built some shorter term programs that in food science, agriculture science, precision ag, that individuals can go in and complete either on a part-time basis over maybe a year or two, or they can concentrate and take more courses in a shorter amount of time.
Is the faculty really engaged in this process?
We had faculty engaged in every step. Faculty have been on our advisory committees along with, side by side with our industry partners, and they're excited because it's another dimension to their teaching that they can add in, and they're always trying to engage the students and get them excited and use hands-on activities. And so one more application of basic science principles in agriculture excites them.
Well, I heard you use the word application, and I noticed also English, chemistry, science teachers in the audience, or instructors from Riverland. They must love it that they can take their applications from the classroom and put it into industry.
Yes, and we know that students learn best when there's some reality to it. Why do I have to learn this? What does this mean in the real world? And so that connection, and then we want to build those relationships with the industries in the area so that students can have some experience in the workforce. And they can test and see what a certain job might look like or feel like, and then also use that experience back in the classroom as they do, say, their papers.
Have you had employers come to you and ask questions?
Yes, we have had a lot of interest from employers, and that's where we really listen to what is it that they're looking for in today's worker, and what are they looking for that we can enhance the incumbent workforce or for the entry level worker coming in. Plus, they want to grow, and the only way they can really grow here or locally is to have a workforce ready to help them as they build up.
Will we have enough students and employees for the need?
Well, that's a question across the country. Minnesota has one of the highest, the lowest unemployment rates, the highest employment. And so it is difficult, but what we find as we do some outreach, we have a program with Iowa where if students in Iowa want to come to Minnesota and go to school at Riverland and pay in-state tuition, which is quite a savings at Minnesota State, they can do that. So we're looking at how do we serve our current population, but how do we invite populations, whether they're from other states or internationally, to come to Minnesota, be educated, and become productive workers.
Fantastic. Dr. Davenport, thank you so much for being here, and best wishes on building on 75 years of tradition at Riverland.
Thank you. We're excited.
Exploring career opportunities in agriculture. Ag 101. Funding for Ag 101 provided by the Ag Star Fund for Rural America.
With the increasing complexity of agriculture careers, it's taking more education to be able to understand and utilize some of the tools available. Farm Business Management Instructor Jennifer Smith shares some thoughts on what's needed most. Jennifer Smith, thanks for joining us on Farm Connections.
Thank you.
Well, as a Farm Business Management Instructor, this must be very appealing to you to talk about agriculture.
Yes, it's a topic that I dearly enjoy.
So how long have you been an instructor at Riverland?
I've been an instructor for 6 years at Riverland in the Farm Business Management program.
And before that?
Before that, I was a high school agriculture instructor.
Well, you're the perfect one to talk to about agriculture and education then. You just came out of a facilitation of a small group at the Ag Summit here at the historic Hormel home. What takeaways did you come from?
Our topic in our breakout group was ag education and training. And so our group came up with the information that we need lots of training and education in the agricultural industry area to have more people come out of colleges, 2-year, 4-year colleges with degrees to be prepared to go into the business and industry sector of agriculture.
Why is that important?
Very important, as all of our food production, safety, nutrition, biotechnology relates to agriculture in some ways. And as our farm population gets smaller, we need to educate our communities and everybody about the value of agriculture and how it impacts all areas of everybody's life.
Are you seeing some gaps in the number of people applying for these quality jobs that are out there?
We do have a shortage of teachers and also employees in the businesses. They're looking for a lot of quality people that have a background in agriculture as well as communication skills and the ability to learn and really grow in the industry that they choose to be employed in.
What challenges do you see with moving this Ag Summit topic forward in terms of educational programming at Riverland?
Some of the challenges that we talked about were marketing of the program, and we said we really need to get out there and educate people about the program, that it's available, and even down to like elementary level, that our educators, our parents, that the kids know even at a young age that agriculture is an industry that's growing and there's a lot of room for advancement and potential career growth. So it's a lot more than just going out and working in a barn anymore. There's many opportunities that are available. So part of growing our program at Riverland is going to be to market it, get the word out that it's available, and how it can work with going into a 4-year degree if that's the student's choice.
What kind of misconceptions are surfacing in terms of agriculture and education?
Some of the misconceptions, I think, are that we do have growth. I mean, the misconception is that it's, you know, if you're going to go into agriculture, that you're going to go home and milk cows on the farm. Not necessarily always happening. There's a lot of areas that are available to take that information and the technology into different career areas. So, like with our GPS technology, GIS, working with the different areas of technology is a growing industry in agriculture, and using all of that data that's collected to make informed decisions about production and improving our efficiency in agriculture.
The Austin Leadership Group recently toured a farm near Teope, Minnesota, where there's robots milking cows. And they came away from that meeting just astounded of the technology that's being used. So will we have the number of technicians we need to do the service and the sales on all this technology, or is that really what you're trying to establish here?
We need more technicians that can do that service and sales and understand if that robot breaks down, how do we fix it, and if we can do it remotely. If that service technician is 100 miles away, that they can log into that computer system and fix the robot, possibly remotely by all that technology that's available, and get the robot up and running and milking again for the cows as quickly as possible in that scenario.
Well, you're working with livestock farmers and crop farmers in the farm management program, and you go right to their farm and help them with technology in the office. Mm-hmm. How are they embracing the technology on the production side?
The production side, a lot of the producers are implementing some of the GIS equipment into their tillage equipment, their tractors, you know, into the cropping production sections. And then they take that data, so then they can take the data maps and see where their yield maps were, how it overlapped with their fertility, what their yields were to improve their production, get the correct amount of nutrients that they need in the soil, be sure that soil is being healthy and productive, and using all the management systems that they need together. So there's a lot of the overlapping of the technology they can use between the tractors, their cell phones, their iPads, their home computers, and it can all link together to give them a better picture.
Jennifer, in the group you facilitated, you talked a little bit, actually a lot, about funding. Expand on that. What did you learn?
The funding for our new agricultural programs is key. We need funding in several areas. One is for the students coming to Riverland to make it available for them to be able to come, so the ability to have more scholarships available for the students who want to attend from all age groups, all diverse areas of the population. Plus, we need the funding for our technology to keep up to date with the technology. So we need to communicate with our business and industry partners, other foundations possibly, to talk about funding for the college programs, for the agricultural programs, the legislature, of course, funding for the college. So we touched on all those areas because agriculture is evolving, it's technology, and that's expensive, and we need the students to come, so we need the cost to be affordable for them as well. So we're looking at the funding there and aligning with some of the high schools in the area also, working maybe with PSEO, concurrent education, so that the credits are funded and easily attainable for some of the students to come into Riverland as a college option for them.
Well, it sounds like we have a lot at stake and we're all in this together.
Yes, definitely a lot at stake, and it's a good thing to move forward with and a great potential in the future of agriculture.
Thanks for being with us, and thanks for the work you do, Jennifer.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us on Farm Connections. We've learned a great deal about how our region plans to address the growing need for people and resources in agriculture during the second annual Ag Summit. I'm your host, Dan Hoffman, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Farm Connections.